it wasn't one of my finest moments in my life. It was in 10th grade, and I was on the football team. This is actually the actual football helmet that I used. And it was the night of the biggest game of our season. It was the night that we faced our rivals. But I was in 10th grade. I just started on the football team. I really didn't have any intentions on playing. But it was during the game that I heard my name called. Stephenson, it's time for you to go in. So I run over to the coach, and I say, what'd you say? He said, son, it's your time. It's your time to go in the game. You see, the punter got hurt. You see, I was actually the backup punter. You may have thought I was the quarterback or the running back, but I wasn't strong enough or big enough, so I tried to punt and kick. But it was my turn to go in the game. So I started running out there, and the coach said, son, where's your helmet? I looked around. I didn't have my helmet. I had to run back to the bench and search frantically for my helmet, and I could not find it. So I just grabbed the nearest helmet, ran on the field, and actually the helmet was 3 times the size of my own helmet. I couldn't see. The snapper hiked the ball. It went over my head. They scooped. They scored. They won by 1 touchdown. We lost the game, and we're out of the playoffs. It was not my finest moment. You see, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to go in the game. I actually had no intentions of going into the game. I was on the sideline playing with water bottles, goofing around with my buddies, and my name was called. That's just a game. Let me tell you something about something that is far more important than a football game, and that's our walk with Christ. You see, each and every day that we wake up, we face battles. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 12 talks about the battle that we face. But in Romans chapter 12 and verse 21, this is what the Apostle Paul says. He says in verse 21, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. But what's this evil that Paul is talking about? In Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 12, Paul also talks and says, hey, we don't battle with flesh and blood, but the present darkness of this world. Do you believe that? Do you believe that there's something more powerful than flesh and blood? You see, he's talking about Satan. He's talking about the schemes of the evil one. The question is, do you believe that? You see, that's the first step in becoming battle ready, is knowing your enemy, knowing who you're going against. You see, it's a real thing. And as teenagers, you may not understand it. You may not understand it. Hey, this battle that we're facing each and every day is an actual battle. And it's a battle for your soul. But how do we do this? I want to give us 3 things that can help us become battle ready. The first is, I think we need to have a strategy. And what I mean by that is, you have to have a strategy going into something. If you play football, your team has a strategy on going into the game, on what plays to run and how to win the game. If you go to war, armies have a strategy on what to do to win that war. My question tonight is, do you have a strategy? And in that strategy, do you have a way that you can understand what to do to win? There's a few things within the strategy that I believe that we need to be ready for. The first thing is we need to be ready physically and mentally and spiritually. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you making sure you have the proper nutrition physically? Are you making sure that your mind is right? And are you making sure that you're right spiritually with God? The second thing is that we need to be surrounding ourselves with the right people. If you don't surround yourself with the right people, how can you ever overcome evil? Because you're surrounding yourself with evil. But Paul says you need to overcome evil with good. And the third thing I want to say is that you need to have training. You need to train your souls each and every day. You need to be in God's Word each and every day, trying to make sure that you have a proper strategy when that battle comes. My second thing is that you need to have a right mentality. The right mentality means that you need to get your game face on. You need to make sure that your mind is right for the battle. The first thing in our mentality is we need to acknowledge that we're weak. That we have nothing within ourselves to overcome this battle, but it's God and in God alone. You see, we are weak, but He is strong. Isaiah chapter 40 easily summarizes what this means. In Isaiah chapter 40, starting in verse 28, it says, "Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might, He increases strength. Even you shall faint and be weary, and young men shall fall exhausted. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." You see, Isaiah is showing us, hey, without God we're nothing, but with God we're everything. We may grow weary, we may faint, but God, if we are patient, if we are waiting upon Him, He'll renew our strength. He'll allow us to have more strength. He'll allow us to overcome these battles that we face each and every day. We need to be ready in our strategy. We need to be ready in our mentality, but we also need to be ready in our intentionality. And what I mean by that is that we need to have the intention of we want to battle for God. You see, when I was playing football on that night, I had no intentions of going into that game. I wasn't ready. I wasn't even thinking about going into the game. But it was my time to go in. And y'all know what happened. I don't want you guys not to be ready. I want you to have every intention of wanting to battle for God. I want you to have every intention to overcome evil with good. But you need to be ready. You need to make sure that you want to battle for God. You see, there's times in our lives where we're not really thinking on things above. Colossians 3 and verse 2 says, "Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things." There's so many times in my life that I catch myself not thinking on things above, but actually putting all my time and efforts on things here on earth. Let me ask you this. Is your strategy ready? Do you have the right mentality, and are your intentionality right with God? The question tonight is, are you battle ready? Because that battle's coming. That battle is going to come, and the evil one is going to cause you to not allow God in your life, and he's going to make you think that you've lost. But I want to tell you something. The war is won. The war is won. Are you ready for that battle?